So my name is Carrie Dorsky. I am the operations coordinator here at the NWTC Artisan Center, and this is the first artist journey of the school year. And the artist journey series was created in 2019 by the team here to kind of address business and entrepreneurship topics, but to also showcase artists and professional artists that have really great stories to tell. So this year, I partnered with 4 other organizations to kind of expand on the series. I partnered with the Art Garage, and I'm going to move the camera so you can see some of these people. I'll zoom out a little bit. So we partnered with the Art Garage, Old Main Street, and Green Bay Public Arts Commission. Can you guys wave? To put this series together as a team. And we thought that the kickoff event would be really nice to get to know some of our other local arts organizations, and especially how they serve our community and how artists can get involved with them. So that's where we are tonight, and we are virtual amidst a pandemic. We had hoped to be in person tonight at the Art Garage in a nice large space, but here we are. So thank you for joining us virtually. I'm going to give these guys each about 5 minutes to kind of share with you an overview about their organization, what they do. And then I think the big question for me at the end is how artists can be involved or can work with your organization. So I'm going to zoom myself out of here, give you just these wonderful panelists. And I'm also going to let them introduce themselves instead of trying to speak for them. So Beth, if you would kick us off, I would greatly appreciate it.
Absolutely. So I'm Beth Kowalski-Lemke. I'm the executive director at the Neville Public Museum of Brown County. And we started in 1915 by the group of the Green Bay Art Colony. A group of women came together and decided that they wanted to have an exhibition at the public library. And it grew into having one location across the river. And then in the 1980s, the location that we're in today. That being said, we are history, science, and art, and we do all 3 subject matters in about 17,000 square feet of gallery space. What I guess I would like our audience to know most is that I think in the last 2 years, if you haven't been to the Neville, please come check us out because we completely renovated our core gallery. One of the common things I would hear out and about and doing outreach would be, you're kind of stagnant, you haven't really changed much. Well, we totally have changed. Our Generations Gallery has completely gone through an overhaul in the last 2 years. So completely different experience. Save the things that the community loved, but completely different presentation. And we've elevated our science programming to our first floor, and then love working with art partners, many of which are in this group today, on partnerships and exhibitions to display public art to the community. So that being said,
Pass it right along.
I will pass it right on.
And for our audience, please interject if you have any questions or if you want to ask them anything. I'd like to keep it informal, but I also know that between 8 of us speaking, we only have an hour to fill, so we'll keep it moving.
Sure, yeah. I'm Sally Ebling. I'm the program and business development manager for Downtown Green Bay and Old Main Street, Inc. Right now, tonight, we're going to focus on Old Main Street, but both organizations are run by the same group of people, but they are separate business improvement districts. So we work within the bounds of some of the designated areas in downtown. And so Old Main Street was founded in about 1999 from the business owners' want and need to better the district and revitalize it, enhance it. So there's an assessment on each property that gets put into what we utilize. So our budget is a little smaller in the Main Street district than it is in downtown. So we have to kind of work around that. And at that time when it was formed, it was called the Old Main Street Arts District. So we've really tried to stick with that, and in our artistic banners and the murals and the different art that we can facilitate, bringing some of the galleries into the district as our businesses. And you know, that's always changing and always becoming better and better. And so one thing that we try to do, we are not technically an arts organization. That's not our main focus, but arts within our district is a really big focus. Like I said earlier, we do have a small budget. We rely on grants and sponsorships and different things. So right now, one of the things that we are able to do best is the collaborations. When people come to us with projects and ideas, we try to help facilitate, we try to help fund, we try to help connect people with properties and different entities to make some of these cool things happen. So that's kind of been one of our strengths. Lately has been able to do that. We were able to fund a portion of the recent Napoli's mural project, which was really great. And we also sat on that kind of committee to help facilitate a lot of the things around that in the event. So, so yeah, I love when people come to me with project ideas and potential funding and spaces that they want to activate. And that's really a lot of what we are able to do right now. We did just apply for a really large grant that I'm hoping we get, because then we'd be able to do a lot more in the district.
The gallery night was
Last week. Yeah, gallery night was on September 9th, and we hadn't been able to hold that last year. And we also had a lot of staff changes, so we had someone new running that this year. And so it was a really big deal for us to get that to the finish line with everything that had been going on. And we had our partners, NWTC and the Art Garage, and Sage participated in our community art project. And so yeah, that was a really cool event that we were able to hold this year in the district.
Go ahead, Laura.
Yeah.
We can close
We
We have an audience.
I'm Laura Sly. I'm the City of Green Bay's Public Arts Coordinator. I help manage and coordinate the programming and brilliant ideas of the Green Bay Public Arts Commission. Green Bay Public Arts Commission is an advisory committee to the mayor. I work out of City Hall, and the Public Arts Commission was established in 2017 by the efforts of a very persnickety artist who has been on our commission and has been doing great things in the community. But it really started out of energy to have an arts voice in local government and really have the arts represented on that level. So that's a lot of the work that we do, is really trying to help bridge that gap between artists and kind of navigating between the red tape of government. It's a struggle sometimes, but we do our best, and we offer a number of programs and opportunities, like our annual grant program, which is a granting service for artists to be able to put on any sort of public art endeavor as long as it's accessible to the public. We also have our rotating art program, which is a temporary sculpture program where we have 6 pedestals located throughout the city that we display art for a year. And then after that time, that loan is finished and we put up a new piece. So it's constantly providing new opportunities for emerging artists, and also just creating more art within those neighborhoods and creating conversations that might not normally occur in those areas. In addition to that, we've also been doing a number of kind of one-off projects here and there as far as installing and commissioning permanent pieces of art throughout the city. I can't take credit for all of them. Sally and a number of other people here have done a lot of work in the public art realm as well. But we also just in 2018, this is kind of my personal favorite accomplishment, is in 2018, we passed a resolution for a % for art policy in the city. So long and the short of it is any development agreement that's receiving a tax assistance from the city, that developer is going to be required to put 1% of that kind of estimated project budget towards art. So that can be art directly on the site. They have a number of options for how that money can get divvied out. They can give that money directly to us, and then we can kind of disperse it how we see fit. But ultimately, at the end, not more money for
You should totally clap for that.
Yeah. It's really cool.
Yeah.
Cool. Kelly, why don't you start?
Sure. Hi, I'm Kelly Strickland. My day job is as the executive and artistic director of the Widener Center for the Performing Arts at UW Green Bay. That's probably the hat that I'm wearing when I'm speaking in front of people or in the media for the most part. But today, I'm actually here to talk about the Bay Area Arts and Culture Alliance. And that is a relatively new service organization. And the background on it is that about 3 years ago, through the university's desire and the Widener Center's mission to strengthen the arts and culture sector at large in our community, we started holding these convenings of all arts and culture stakeholders. So it was a no barrier to participation invitation that goes out to artists, arts organizations, arts educators, arts promoters, some economic development entities that use the arts as a powerful tool of economic development, as Sally just talked about, and to get together and offer opportunities to network, collaborate, meet each other, be aware of the various efforts happening in our community. Out of those convenings, we convene on average quarterly. COVID sort of, like everything else, put a couple of roadblocks in the way for that, but we picked up strong again. Out of those convenings came the identification of a need for a representative body. So the art squad, as we call it, that's those convenings, which anyone can participate in it who's interested in connecting with the larger arts and culture community here in Greater Green Bay. We have a representative body that eventually became the Bay Area Arts and Culture Alliance, which is focused primarily on sector building and capacity building for the arts and culture sector at large in our area. So you're hearing today from lots of people who do very good work around arts and culture. The idea of BAACA is that BAACA being the acronym for Bay Area Arts and Culture Alliance, is that it is investing its time, energy, resources, and expertise into trying to build a shared vision for arts and culture in our community. So I'll give you a couple of examples of how we're doing that. Currently, we're facilitating some conversations and some good work towards taking steps to developing a community-wide arts and culture plan. So that's finding all of the major stakeholders and leaders in our community who understand the power of the arts, but also might be coming at it for different reasons with different agendas, looking for different outcomes. So economic development we've listed as one great motivator. We know that that arts and culture is powerful in creating vibrant downtowns, foot traffic for restaurants and parking and shopping and all that good stuff. We also know that it's great for building bridges in communities and making people who are new to a community find a place, find a voice, find representation. The arts can be very powerful in equity, diversity, and inclusion work, which is a priority of almost every entity in the area these days, rightfully so. And then, of course, there's arts education. Getting arts, both practical and appreciative activities for our young people in our community. Each of these lenses that you can look at the arts through is important, and collectively, it is the sort of thing that creates a vibrant arts and culture sector. When I first moved here in 2017, I read the Community Foundation's life study, most recent life study that had come out. And they identified a really significant point through their research, which was that there was a lot of concern about the sustainability of our arts organizations, especially. So we know that if we want to have this vibrant arts and culture sector in our community, which will lead to our vibrant downtown, our empowered and increased quality of life neighborhoods, all of these things, then that means our arts organizations and our artists who are in our community need to be supported. So BAACA doesn't run programs. It doesn't run run arts programming itself, it is dedicated to that larger picture.
I've not heard anybody speak about BAACA, and it was nice to kind of feel all the pieces being put together. So
Yeah.
thank you for sharing. That was really enlightening.
Jane, why don't you go next?
Hi, I'm Jane Hostetler, and I'm representing the Wisconsin Visual Artists Organization. We are a statewide organization, but have a chapter, 3 chapters in various areas of the state. I'm currently the vice president of the state board, but also am very active in our Northeast chapter with the leadership here. So our organization is about a little over 100 years old. It started out in 1900 in the Milwaukee area and expanded to be a statewide organization, and most recently became the Wisconsin Visual Artists. We connect artists is our main goal. It's a way to connect artists that can sometimes be isolated. And so our new motto is connect, educate, and empower. So our goal is to not only support our local artists within our chapters, but also give them a voice statewide. And artists often want ways in which to show their work, to connect with other artists, other opportunities. So basically, we have 3 chapters in the state. We have the Northeast chapter, which covers from Fond du Lac all the way up to Marinette North and over to Sheboygan. We have our Southeast chapter in the Milwaukee area and South Central in the Madison area. And we do have other members throughout the state that connect to whichever chapter they feel most comfortable with. Since we've had the Zoom meetings during COVID, we've actually had an increase in membership attending our monthly meetings, because if they're so far away, it's not a lot of driving. So it's been actually a really nice thing from that standpoint. And so at our local chapter level, we find that a lot of members like to connect and be able to chat about what they're doing, share their work, uplift each other. We have a lot of critiques, casual, friendly, nice critiques to support each other. But each chapter also has their own local shows that they have each year, exhibitions. And we also have at least one statewide show each year to give artists a lot of opportunity. But we also have a website where we have our e-magazine, which highlights artists across the state. It comes out quarterly. So one of the benefits to the organization is just learning about other artists throughout the state, feeling connected. And locally, we support more through a newsletter that comes out to our chapter and talks about our local artists and what they're doing. And also talks about events that are going on in the area that you can attend and you can get involved with, other arts organizations. So we're really a collaborative with many other organizations. Our current show that is going to be being unveiled in February is our biennial, which is obviously every 2 years. And we collaborate with the Museum of Wisconsin Art in West Bend. It's a beautiful facility, so we feel privileged to have them partner with us to give our artists an opportunity to highlight their work in a beautiful venue. So it's one of our keynote shows every other year. And we usually get over 1,000 entries, and only about 50 get in, so it's very competitive. But it's also a wonderful show. So if you want to get to a great museum that's not in our area, that's another place to go, although we do have some great places to go in our area, like at the Neville. So that's basically our organization. We're really grassroots, supporting our artists in our area here, but also connect statewide with bigger venues and other artists across the state.
Jane, I'm going to zoom out so you guys can see me when I'm talking too. Otherwise, I feel like just a talking, floating voice. Jane is also going to be a featured speaker for the April Artist Journey to talk about Blue Door. Do you want to share a little bit about who Blue Door is?
Yeah, we're just a studio, working studio. Susie Pfeiffer and myself have a beautiful space in our garage, and we show our work. We work there. We like to collaborate with other community organizations and support the arts. We teach as well. So we're part of Wisconsin Visual Artists, and we work in the area. So I appreciate your giving me a heads up, and we'll talk more about that in April. But thank you for mentioning that.
For sure. I've got the Artist Journey schedule here for the rest of the year. So I'm hoping
Yeah.
plug the April one a little bit.
Okay, Tristan, why don't you go next?
Sure. I'm Tristan St. Mary, new title Marketing Manager at the Art Garage. We just hired our first director, so very excited for positive changes happening. But the Art Garage started in 2006 as a gallery and artist studio space for students at UWGB who had just graduated. They were looking for a community collaborative space to work with like-minded artists, and are located in the cannery in the Green Bay downtown area. It's the historical building. We actually revamped the loading dock that used to bring in vegetables to our gallery space and artist studio space. So that's kind of what the organization started as and has been growing ever since. In 2014, we expanded and purchased the entire complex. So we have a 55,000 square foot building in itself, but we probably occupy only about a quarter of that right now. So we're working towards renovating additional space and expanding our programs. But currently right now we have a gallery space for local artists to exhibit their works in. So the front gallery is rentable on a month-to-month basis. We also have side gallery exhibits that change out every other month for different themes that are chosen and juried by local jurors that help us out. We have artist studio space. I think we have 7 spaces, which are always full. So we love giving artists a space outside of their homes to come and create and, you know, talk with other like-minded artists and create those relationships. And then we also offer workshops for both youth, adults, basically any age, and various mediums. Our largest program is our youth summer art workshop program. We expanded it to 5 weeks this year, so started at I think 2, so it's been going since we opened. I think 2008 they started that, so that's a really large program. We welcome about 250 students in every summer to take art educational workshops with us. We also are a space for different organizations in the community. So we are the space that a lot of smaller groups like Arts Unlimited and Woodworkers Group that come and host their meetings at our space. So have different events like performing and literary art-based things, open mic nights. We have a story slam series coming up. Basically, we're a growing organization that likes to expand on the visual, performing, and literary arts as a whole. Space for local artists, as well as collaborate and empower each other and grow connections.
Okay, and last but not least, just a little bit. Go ahead.
Hi, I'm Michael O'Malley. I'm the co-founder of The Premier. The Premier is an arts incubator and an art co-op space. After 200 meetings, we found out that a lot of artists in the city didn't have a go-to space to call home. A lot of theater companies and painters, dancers, musicians, visual and digital artists were constantly looking for a space in between their galleries or in between the classes that they would offer. And they were either working out of a studio in their home or out of their garage or the basement. And so we offer this space starting at 90 square feet and going up to 360 square feet for all types of artists. Unfortunately, unlike the Artisan Center here, which is a beautiful facility, we don't offer woodworking or glass blowing or metal fabrication. This is because we are in a cold storage warehouse that has been renovated by phase companies, the Rail Yard Innovation District. It's an amazing space, but we are, trying to stay focused on different art forms that aren't as intrusive for the space being built out, so we can kind of, keep everybody on the up and up instead of making bad business relations by having somebody set the place on fire or something where it's not up to code. So we started about 2 years ago, and we've gained up to 12 tenants so far. We still have space for more. And then we also have over 200 members. These members teach classes, and they also display their artwork. They have events, and pretty much maybe they even have rehearsals there before they go to the Neville for a performance. They go to the Art Garage for performance. And we offer a very affordable rate, and our rates are trying to get rid of the starving artist mentality. We believe that art needs to be catered to rather than competing with things like mechanical engineering or companies that are going to be constantly able to make quite a profit. So when we offer this affordable rate, it allows our artists to feel like Green Bay is supporting them and giving them a home. This way, instead of going to Milwaukee or to Minneapolis, we have the retention of talent. We also are trying to offer people who go out of the city a place where when they're back in the city, they can just kind of, use their talents to make a little bit of profit, or maybe they can even just, hang out with people that are aspiring artists. We also have hobbyists. These are people that have a main job that's outside of art, but like to use art to decompress. It's really beautiful to see different people using the space and different mediums in order to utilize art to its fullest extent. So some people call it like art therapy, but we don't curate. So unlike the Art Garage, which does an amazing job curating these beautiful places that they can learn how to become an artist, we don't teach anybody how to become an artist. We just allow them to be an artist, which is kind of where we really focus. So if you want to see if a certain type of event is going to work and you're not terribly sure and you need an affordable rate and you want to slowly build some momentum and gain the infrastructure and the client base that eventually will allow you to springboard into the greater community, that's what we're here for. And so far it's been a great job, seeing all these amazing artists. Like I said, 200 members, over 8,000 art enthusiasts is what I like to call them. These are people in the city that just love art and they love to see artists at work. If you want to be involved, you can always reach out to thepremiere520@gmail.com, or you can just show up to the space. You can also call 920-617-4282, I believe. And that will bring you over to our bookings and our marketing, and then also our parent company, the Green Bay Theater Company. When we started 2 years ago, my co-founder, Dennis Gullickson, had put on a show called The Vagabond Halfback. While we were putting the show on, we realized there was no place to rehearse. Luckily, Oneida High School was able to give us a place where we could run through lines. And slowly, after 200 plus meetings, we realized that this was kind of across all forms of art. So it's been a really great journey, and it's really exciting to see all these amazing organizations pushing Green Bay forward, and especially through these historic times that we're all, supporting the masks. And as we get out of this global pandemic, I look forward to the future of Green Bay and the arts community that's consistently growing. Thank you.
I'm gonna take a turn. Let's move this camera over to me. Guys, a little bit about the Artisan Center, but I don't want to take away from everybody here. So, like I said earlier, my name is Carrie Dorsky. I am the operations coordinator here. The Artisan Center was opened by NWTC in this building in early 2011, which means we're celebrating our 10-year anniversary this year. Pretty exciting for an arts organization. We've got some longevity at this table, but we were started as kind of an entrepreneurial vision from our president. So they had toured like Arrowmont and Penland and a lot of the like craft schools in the East, and really wanted to bring back that entrepreneurship vision for Northeast Wisconsin, which is really cool because there's no other technical college in the state that has a building dedicated to the arts with a focus on entrepreneurship. So we started with 3 main studios. It was quilting and textiles, wood turning, and ceramics. So we still have those 3 studios. Ceramics is the most popular thing in the building. It is packed in here all the time. Tonight is a Tuesday, which means we have open studio for the community to come in and work on their pottery. We also have added glass 2D painting and drawing. We've added a metal studio and jewelry program, and also new is some sculpture. We are dabbling in kind of book arts going forward. So paper making is new. There's some printmaking. as much as we possibly can fit in this building. I think we're a little tight on space, but we're making it work. We also do a few youth programs. We work with a homeschool group on a semester basis. We are partnered with the East High Fine Arts Institute annually. We are currently in our second year of our artisan residency program. So we just accepted our second cohort of 5 artists in the community. We had 11 applications this year, so it was really hard to narrow it down, but we welcome them to the building tomorrow for the first time. We do this program, an artist journey, which is exciting. I will say, take a little pause. Next month, Tuesday, October 19th, is all about best practices and applying for calls for artwork. So you'll see a couple of these faces again next week, or next month, I should say. But we'll be talking all about how to best apply for those things. We work with the Neville on an annual basis to do a juried exhibition there. And then the big thing I think we're starting to gain a good reputation for is open studio and accessibility to our equipment. So there's always been classes here, but open studios, something a little bit newer, and we're kind of adding to. So we have all this great equipment. We have these long arm quilting machines and these wood turning lathes and pottery wheels. But what good are they if practicing artists can't come use them? So we're very passionate about making this building very accessible to everybody. So that's my few minutes. I'm going to pan back out so everybody can see your faces. And we did that in 32 minutes. I'm so impressed. I thought we were going to be short on time. So I have questions. I would love if the audience had questions too. Or if you guys have questions of each other. Anybody have anything off the top of their head they want to talk about? No? I want to know more. I have these, I had everybody fill out a little survey, so I had some interesting information about each of them. But I know, Mike, you covered members. Can you guys also tell me like how artists can be involved, or can they be a member of your organization? If any of you want to answer that question specifically so our audience know how they can interact with you.
I don't know what or Garage wants to go.
Sure, I can start. We just started a new membership program. We had BO Circle in place for our first like 13 years of our organization and just revamped that a little bit. And I think we'll be doing some additional changes with some feedback after a year of that. But you can just check our website out. It's rate-based, so there's different benefits, discounts on our workshops, discounts on the call for art fee, other benefits. But other than that, you can get involved by volunteering. We have all kinds of volunteer opportunities, different vendor application, like vendor markets throughout the year. So if artists are interested in selling their handmade goods, we do those. Also, if you are looking to get some instructing opportunities, we have instructor application online, as well as models that we're looking for bigger drawing classes. Yeah, check our website out. All kinds of stuff, all kinds of opportunities.
Awesome. I was going through a list in my head of like, what do I think Tristan's going to cover? And I think you got them all. But there's a lot of ways you can get involved.
Yeah, probably missing something, but yeah, there's usually opportunity for anyone and everyone. So.
For sure. That's a good collaboration, right? Anybody else want to talk about how you can join or participate with your organization?
I'll answer that. We're always encouraging people to join our organization and get that exposure and connection to other artists in the area. And the more the better. I mean, the more people we can connect with, that's what it's really fun, and it's always inspiring to talk to other artists. And you can go onto our website as well. It's wisconsinvisualartist.org, and we're actually revamping our website, but it's pretty close to being done. But most of it is up and running, and you can look at where you can connect with our Northeast chapter and get involved with our membership here. And you'll get on our list, and we'll email you each month when we have monthly meetings. But you can also look at our website to see what we're doing around the state with just varying educational opportunities and show opportunities. But getting involved in the local chapter is fun. We love new members, and if you're interested in leading, helping with web design and things like that. We're always looking for to come keep us growing and moving forward. The bigger team to help manage our chapter is always a really nice thing. So we're always encouraging. We are the smallest chapter number-wise. We cover a large area, but I think it's mostly because prior to this, it's a lot of driving to get to a meeting. We would hold one in Green Bay, and then we'd hold one in Appleton and one in Oshkosh. We try to rotate the areas, but now that we can do virtual meetings, I think we'll keep it, not continually. We'll probably offset once we can get together again. And typically when we do get together, it's at a gallery. We've met at the Neville before, we've met at the art garage. We like to come to the community places, and we get together, we chat, we see a show, or we go to someone's studio and see how they work. This meeting this summer, that sculpture down on Lake Winnebago, and he has a beautiful studio. We toured that. It was just fun. But in the winter months, I think it'll be a benefit for members to feel like they can connect, because we have this nice new virtual way of. So please look at our website, see what we have to offer for you. And you can become a member for just $40 a year. So it's really not that much.
Can anybody join? Does it matter, like professional?
It does not matter. We do have a professional status that you can apply for, but we encourage any emerging artists, hobby artists, whatever you want to do. We have all kinds of artists that come, and we can all learn from one another, no matter what we've done before or where we're intending to go with our art. And as you mentioned, that some people are just doing it because they need that time out. Some people are doing it as a career. We'll encourage anybody and everybody. Everybody's got something to offer.
Just want to talk on this topic?
Absolutely. So from the Neville's perspective, artists can definitely be involved in a handful of ways. So the main, our job is to bridge communities and connect generations, and we do that with our art annual. It is a juried art competition, and the submission actually window is open right now. So again, many artists from our community in northeastern Wisconsin, the UP, can apply and get juried into that show. So that way, that's one opportunity to collaborate and support. Our gift shop does a lot of consignment work with artists. So if you're interested in that, just reach out to me, Beth, and I'll get you in the contact point of who that can be, but also having that tangible output and the ability to perhaps even display and sell. And then it's also becoming a member of different organizations. So we partner with, obviously, NWTC Artisan Center for their art exhibition in the spring. We work with the Green Bay Art Colony and that exhibition. We work with, we work with Women Who Run with Scissors. So there are multiple art organizations that have their own membership base, and what we do is then we collaborate, and then we are that venue for your exhibition. So, and we also have the ability to also, if artists wish to sell their work, whether it's Art Annual or through the Art Colony or the Artisan Center, ability to help promote those sales of the art. And then we just have a general Neville membership. It's not artist specific, but obviously it supports the whole.
Say I run the Art on Maine committee for Old Main Street, which some of you are on, and we're always looking for new members. I'd love to have some artist representation for different perspectives and ideas. So yeah, if you're interested in being a committee member, reach out to me, Sally at downtowngreenbay.com.
Also put out calls for artwork.
We do, yes, when we're able to, yeah, we put out calls.
For those who are interested in becoming a commissioner or a liaison, those terms kind of rotate. Depending on who you are, you get a different term. But if you're interested in becoming a commissioner, you can certainly send in a resume. The only requirement we have is that you have to be a citizen of Green Bay proper to be on that commission. But we also do a lot of calls for art. So if you would like to sign up for our artist database, basically that's just a database that we collect information from to share out our art opportunities as they occur. And then I share those out to private business owners or people who contact me saying, hey, I want a mural, or I'm interested in a sculptor. Like, do you know anyone? So I'll just shoot that off. So yeah.
If you're interested in being added to the mailing list for the Art Squad, you can go to www.greenbayarts.org. That is BAACA's website, which launched recently. And I think we've been saying this for about a year and a half, but it's really happening now. We are going to formalize that distribution list, and there'll be an opt-in option there. In the meantime, you can just email greenbayarts@gmail.com and you'll get added to the Art Squad notification list. That's primarily informational, informational about work that's being done in the realm of sector building, but also for convenings. And again, the squad is no barrier to participation. So there's no membership fees. We don't decide if you belong there. You decide if you belong there. So again, artists, arts organizations, arts educators, whatever your relationship to the arts is all are welcome.
I have a few questions in the chat. I'm going to answer an easy one first. Kendra asked where if there will be links to each of your organizations. And I will do that when I share the video publicly. We'll share the recording out and I'll put a link to all of your pages on there. So thank you. Then everybody will be able to find you guys. And then I have two questions. I'm going to go in order. So Jan asked, what impact do you feel the pandemic will have on the arts in the short term and the long term? She's asking the tough questions.
I think that the positive impact is we've seen some phenomenal pieces being created, whether they've been collaborations or individual artwork. Being on the receiving end and being on the gallery display, there's been some phenomenal pieces, and we've actually been able to acquire and improve the Neville's collection because it's happening here right now. So although it was a kind of this strange historical moment happening around us, I think whether it was individuals or seeking that creativity, it's still coming and we're still going to see parts of it. So hopefully, those underrepresented artists or isolated artists, hopefully we can continue reaching out to them and making sure that they have a conduit to be creative, but they were being probably creative to begin with. Now it's just seeing when it comes to the forefront of making it more accessible. But
yeah, I think we're seeing it tonight too, right? It's like, we could have a packed room full of people, but most of them would be driving from, 20 miles away at the most. And when we can do things virtually like this, the audience is huge and it can be from so far away. And I think that's one of the best things we've seen here. It's just that audience reach.
I think too, art is very difficult to raise funds for, notoriously, one of the most difficult things to raise money for. And after the pandemic, a huge focus on mental health and how art is very easy to transpose amongst everybody. And so, the more people that use art as a healthy to cope with these times, the better off we are. And perhaps, we'll see something turning, allow more donors to invest in the mental health of their society, their community.
And I think people have more time in general. I've seen, people say that they're not traveling, so they came upon, let's go visit an art gallery, and they have additional funds to support local artists and buy local art.
I think that there are a lot of really positive things that have been described, especially for artists who tend to be in a solo practice, so visual arts and literary arts. I think that we will likely see some increased productivity. But I also think it's worth mentioning that the performing arts, our sector was at 65% unemployment just a couple of months ago. And it's going to take a long time. We're still not out of this before it is easy and affordable to gather people in places to make collaborative art. I think that there are some practices that will likely be here to stay. I think that using Zoom as one tool of collaborating is likely something that will continue to crop up in artistic collaborative process, but that only gets you so far. And I know that the landscape for performing artists is still incredibly volatile, and we are very restricted in the number of folks that we can gather together, which makes the financial viability of those events challenging, and in some cases not viable. So I think that there's a way to go on that. The truth is, I'm not sure that how it will actually affect the work itself will be known probably for some time. I think that there will be a time when we can look back on the 2020s and know exactly how the pandemic impacted the sector. But I'm not sure that it's clear to me right now, to be honest. I think from a grassroots perspective, it's allowed for, as you were describing, higher engagement in a lot of ways. That's very exciting.
I'm so glad you brought up the performing arts. I often stick so much into visual arts that it's a really great point. I'm glad you brought it up. One more question in the chat, and it's from a mystery person, and it says, how do you make a living producing art? Another tough one, really.
Yeah, that's a tough one. My initial reaction is like, just go for it, submit it. There's a lot of opportunities that are very cost effective to get your art out there. There's a lot of vendor opportunities to show your work to the community, and I think the support will come with that.
Anybody else want to weigh in on that?
I think what it means to make a living producing art varies so dramatically from individual to individual. So, you know, for someone who's interested in large scale sculpture specifically, you know, there's a whole network that Laura could plug you into to talk about what it means to submit proposals for these kind of large scale pieces. But Tristan's point is pretty well taken, which is that you have to begin doing it consistently. You have to understand that you are a business of one, if we're talking about the visual artist, but even performing artists to some extent. So you need to be your own business manager. And that's why the classes that the Artisan Center offers is so cool because you can get some of those skills. But the first step and the most important step is to get your work in front of people. And that, I think, is true whether it's visual artists or performing artists. For performing artists, I think things like TikTok and Instagram have really changed how people kind of get their talents in front of people and find collaborators. For a variety of paths, but what cannot be avoided is making a lot of work and getting it in front of a lot of people.
Totally to your point about that, I love when people reach out to me for those types of opportunities. I got a text the other day that was like, hey, I'm interested in doing some work. You know, do you have anything available? And I was able to have a conversation with this person and say, well, like, yeah, this is how we do things. Like, send me your website, send me all these things. So I know that person and I know what they do in the future. Like, I'm always asking you guys, like, hey, I need a visual artist for this. Do you guys know someone that I can reach out to? And so, yeah, I'm always asking around what for the resources and what I need. But even if you if you have a talent and you reach out to me and say, this is what I do, like, please keep me in mind for future opportunities. Like, I'm definitely going to go to you first because we've made that connection. So yeah, reach out to people, reach out to your districts and just people that you can get your art in front of and that can help you make that next step because they think of you next time.
I'd like to say too, it takes a lot of courage to actually make that your lifestyle because it's not a guaranteed income, and for some people it's just not an option, but there may be points in your life where it can be more of an option for you to be able to support yourself. But again, networking within your own community is huge. Letting people know who you are, how you would like to offer your talents, or just anything you have to offer. It may not be your artistic ability, but other kinds of support to arts organizations in any way that will help support what you do. But then getting your work out there in your own community, but also for our organization statewide, a lot of artists really like the fact that they get information to be able to get their work in other parts of the state too, because the more you get it out there, the more people are going to get to know who you are, and then you gather a following, and that helps sustain what you want to do. But it takes a lot of courage and a lot of time to kind of develop that, and that's why these kinds of groups are great to start networking and just helping each other. We've got to just keep that community going, and it's really, really important, whether it's within your community or within the state. With the artists, the entire state could be your community as well. And then, network with those other artists that are in their own community that know. And it's just a matter of really having the courage to get out there and let people know who you are.
Bring this. Sorry, I'm making anybody camera world. Zoom it back over to me. I'm going to make another plug for another artist journey night. We have Frank Juarez coming up, and on February 15th, he's going to cover professional practices for artists. That's a free event, but he will be teaching a 6-week series with us. So please consider watching him for free in February and seeing if it's a good fit for you to learn some of those entrepreneurship skills. The other plug I will put is our residency program. We take 5 each year, and we really focus on entrepreneurship opportunities with those 5. I met with the group's mentor last week for breakfast, and one of the best things she said, and I have written it at the top of just which rabbit to chase. I think it's really simple, but I also think it's really brilliant of you've got all these things you want to do, especially as an artist, right? Like all of these things on your list, and you want to be in shows or selling and markets and all of this. But sometimes you've got to really put your focus behind one thing and not
do that one thing really good.
Yes, absolutely.
Things.
Yep. Okay. It's 6:22. You're almost on the nose. Does anybody have any other questions? Do you guys have any questions for each other? Jan has shared a nice thank you to the presenters for tonight, and I will echo that. I'm so glad you guys are all here. It was so good to see all of you, and I think we probably could carry on conversations like this for hours.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, thank you for doing this. So appreciated. There's thank yous rolling in, so we will wrap up unless I see any other questions or any other conversation.
I was just going to ask if anyone wanted to share your biggest COVID triumph.
Yeah.
A big project that.
Oh gosh, opening generations, and winning numerous awards for the space. I will take,
Yes, absolutely.
It was the best public-private partnership. The county funded it, $1 million, and our private foundation raised, and we will now have an endowment for that space. It will not be stagnant. We've rotated the art section once already and the people section once. So it will, even though the exterior of the building hasn't changed, we completely have shaken up the entire inside of it. And that, you were talking about Peter Corey as an artist. He was painting a giant mural during COVID in the building because he could, and it was like we were down and closed. COVID happened, and we were still able to open. So thank you for asking that, because that's the biggest thing. Is I know generationally in this community we've seen it. The Neville has had that you don't change. Well, that's not true with the organization. Sometimes the art exhibits aren't up long enough in some cases. So trying to figure out all that. But thank you for asking, because that's go team.
What an impact for Northeast Wisconsin. That's huge. Anybody else?
Ours is not even comparable, but hiring our first executive director is a huge deal for us.
Absolutely.
Excited about that.
For sure.
Anybody else?
For us, it's surviving. I think we opened up for 1 year, and then after that first year being open, we were hit with a global pandemic, and a lot of, we went from 1,800 people walking through our door every month to 15. And as a person who kept track of those numbers, that was pretty intense. But, I think it's really amazing to see the comeback. I think it's so cool when you have a team that, yet they might start losing a little bit, but once they start gaining momentum again, you really want to root for them and hope the momentum continues. So, I think surviving was kind of.
I would agree with that.
Absolutely. Sure. Okay, well, I think we will end on that note. Thank you all. In WebEx world, I'm going to turn this off, but you can look for the recording.